No, still not.
No, the poor smokers.
Poor smokers.
And they get their booze.
I must be honest with you, I never knew people can be so reliant on those smokes. It's crazy. But now the counterfeit that's being sold, it's crazy. So, say for instance, somebody told me a packet of counterfeit before the lockdown was like 20 Rand. How much is that? That's like 16 20 Rand would be what? 16 cents, isn't it? In pounds.
Yeah.
And now it's like 160 Rand a packet. So it has, whoever is doing it is making a lot of money by selling more. And they have different brands. It's probably 20 different brands in the counterfeit that people can buy. So somebody's making. Yeah.
You can hear me okay?
Me? I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, good. I cut out there for a minute, so that's okay. We're just waiting on Ray as well and another few people. But why don't we just kick off there anyway and welcome you officially, Carmen, to our infamous Thursday, Tuesday session by now. So all throughout lockdown, we've been keeping our angels and winemakers and each other company with a nice glass of wine and some good chats. So it's great to have you here and all 1,200 angels on Zoom and more on Facebook as well. And yeah, I'm sure most people tuning in will know about Carmen or have tried her wines. But it's a real honor to have you here tonight. I first met Carmen back in 2011, I think it was, back when we started working together. And at the time, Carmen was the head winemaker at Amani Vineyards, which is a prestigious winery down there in Stellenbosch. And at the time, Rowan, who's our founder, had convinced Carmen to give the naked thing a go. And I was on hand on the day that you launched to make sure everything went smoothly with the case and the launch and everything. And it turned into one of my most memorable days at Naked. 2,000 people got together, raised £150,000, and I got Carmen's first case going. And that was just an incredible day. And I think what I took from that was, like, this is early on in Naked days, I already knew we were onto something with Naked, and the fact that 2,000 complete strangers in the UK could take somebody down in South Africa, fund their business dream, and really get someone going like that, despite having never tasted a bottle or met the person. I knew we were onto something special, and if we continued in that vein, the supermarkets or anyone else just couldn't touch us. And the rest is history. And there's been some incredible wines down the years. They continue to come out. I'm drinking the Katoria Sauvignon Blanc tonight, and this wine just sums up why I love Carmen's wines and why I love South Africa wines in general. You get everything from great value to on the more premium end. You can, the Sauvignon Blanc, for example, close your eyes, you could be drinking Sancerre or something nice from France or something amazing from New Zealand as well at a really affordable price in comparison to some of those places. And when Carmen's not making amazing wines, she also does incredible work in the community. She's won Businesswoman of the Year recently. She, of course, heads up the Carmen's Kids initiative, feeding over 10,000 school children this year. We'll hear all about that. And then helps us mentor some disadvantaged students who we're helping through our Naked Bursary scheme as well in the local university. So I can't do you justice, Carmen, everything you do for us, but I've done my best there. But maybe you could take us back to the start when you were younger, growing up. What made you decide to become a winemaker? What were your early experiences with wine?
It's so weird because I think that if people look at something that right now, they'll say, okay, now I understand, because to an extent, I think I'm actually, I'm definitely dyslexic to an extent, because my spelling is really bad. And one of the reasons that how I got into wine was, hi, Ray.
Hey, Carmen.
Oh, hello, Ray. Nice of you to join us.
I'm so sorry. I have started, restarted, uninstalled, updated, everything. Zoom just had one of those moments where it didn't want to go to the park. And, you know, all week it says it wants to go to the park, and you just go, okay, let's go to the park. And then it just didn't want to go to the park. So I apologize. Please.
Were you ironing your shirt, Ray? Come on, tell us.
Yeah, no, well, that's something I didn't do either in about 3 months. I've obviously interrupted. Where were you?
I'm just telling how I got into the decision of making wine, or want to be a winemaker. So my mother used to sit with me, and I can clearly remember, like, oh my God, this child just cannot get this into her head. And she loved reading what probably will be perceived as really bad novels for young girls. And she one day said to me, come try and read this. And every night she'll come home and she'll make me read it. And I guess it was the storyline. I was very, very young. I know half of the stuff I didn't understand. What I do remember was a lot of those settings was with wine, because it's a romantic novel. A lot of them were in vineyards. And one particular one was about a winemaker in California and how she blended wines. And I remember reading it, and I said to him, I'm going to be a winemaker one day. I never thought it was impossible. I never thought it was, wouldn't be with, my means to do it. I just said one day I'm going to be a winemaker. And I actually last week visited my high school, and my math teacher, he is still, he's now the deputy president and deputy principal, and he told me how often I said I'm going to be a winemaker. Okay, I can't remember that, but if you say that, that's cool. So so the idea of making wines comes from probably, I think it's the romantic side of it, but also it's very different from where I grew up. It was a completely different lifestyle than what I was used to as a child. So I think that attracted me. It just sounded so amazing. So, just something that would be lovely, would be nice to be part of.
And what was that, Carmen? What was the contrast between where you grew up and what you started to see wine was about?
I grew up just probably 15 minutes outside of Stellenbosch.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Which was to an extent farm, more rural farmland. And then my parents got divorced, and we moved closer to Cape Town. So it was completely opposites. I came from a background where we had nice gardens, it was green, there was farms, to living in a flat where there's no green, no farm, completely opposite from one another. And so when I finally got accepted to study wine, for me, the biggest treat was to go to the college, because it was so green, it was so alive, it was so clean. When I was in my high school years, it was really a poor community. It's completely the opposite I mean, if you take Stellenbosch versus, if you look at some of the pictures or the videos where we shoot for the kids, that is the environment I grew up in the later stage of my life versus Stellenbosch. I mean, it's two worlds apart. It's yeah.
Very good.
And tell us then,
Yes.
Carmen, about your experience then when you went to college, because I gather that wasn't all the time positive.
Yeah, firstly, I did not realize that wanting to study winemaking was a no-no. I guess to some extent we grew up quite isolated from the rest of South Africa. If I say that, I mean where people were part of riots, and I think I was too young for that. So when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to apply to the college where I studied, I didn't think twice that I would not be accepted. I just applied and I got the letter and I was quite shocked. The letter stated that the college is only open to white South Africans. So I was like, I showed my mom, I said, this is weird. When you are at high school and you come from my background, you automatically qualify to go study nursing, teaching, or be part of the police force. So I fell into the category of teaching. I don't know how I got to that because I'm not a teacher. So when I got the letter to say that unfortunately, the college is not open it's only open to white South Africans, my mom said, then you need to go and do the teaching. No, I'm not going to do the teaching. I'm going to be a winemaker. And my mother used to be a factory worker. So she anyway didn't have the money for me to go and study. So I said to her, what I'll do is I'll find a job to pay for my study. If she allows me, and she said, okay, see if you can find a job. And I walked for months and months. And eventually I found a job in a factory in one of really the poorest communities closer to Cape Town. And probably like 2 months into that, I realized, okay, this is not going to pay any kind of college fees. So I said to my mom, I think I need to do something else, and it's not going to pay for this college fees. And I asked the one thing, she gave me permission that the money that I earned, I could use to pay for my study, so I could save that money. And I asked her, can I use some of this money to buy stuff and sell it? And she said, what are you going to sell? I said, well, I'm going to sell shoes and kiddies' clothes on Cape Town Station. And she said, when will you do that? I said, I'll do it on a Friday night and a Saturday. So I work during the week, and Friday, around about 5, I would go through to Cape Town with the train, and Saturdays, and I would sell my clothes and shoes. And that's how I paid for my studies. Reapplied again, was again refused. And this time it was that I didn't have any agriculture background and I did not do any military service. And I was like, oh my God. And my mom said, now you need to go and do the teaching. And I said, no, I'm going to study. I was so determined I was going to be that winemaker one day. And I think my mom at that point was like, oh my God, just going to leave you. You will need to burn your fingers and burn your fingers. And in that year, I was paging through a magazine, came across a correspondence agriculture college and course, enrolled for that, and did really, really well on that. And with that, I applied for the third time on my third application, I decided that I'll take the train to the college and actually hand in my application, and I'm going to speak to the college head, which I did. And I waited for him for an hour, and then I said, this is the third time, this is my name, the third time I'm applying, and I didn't do military service. This is now my agriculture background, and if you don't accept me, I'll go to the newspapers. And then a month later, I got a letter. I was accepted. They probably thought, oh my God, here comes trouble. But yeah, I got in for the third year, got the shock of my life when I arrived at the college. It just never crossed my mind that everybody there is going to be white. So the first morning, I was like, oh my God. And they were so huge. And I mean, the college only took in 100 students a year. And of that 100, we were 5 girls. And it's the first year that they took in 5 girls. And I was the only person of color there. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are huge. They came out of the military service, so they had a completely different attitude to people of color. They were obviously also indoctrinated. They were young, so they thought that they knew everything. They came from a farming background, so they were very entitled. And they basically saw me as the words was, you're wasting the space of a potential farmer in South Africa. Why are you here? So my first year and a half at the college was not the easiest, and not something that I would want to relive ever. It was a really, really, really tough time in my life. But if I look back now, it really molded me into the person that I am. So I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy to go through that type of molding, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I think I was very, I wouldn't say lucky. I would say I had the right parent behind me, my mother, to say, you will stick it out. I had a family that I was the first in my family to actually go and study. So everybody was behind me there. I had friends that thought that I was crazy, but still brave to be there. So I guess all of that helped, you know. All of that helped.
Yeah, well, you certainly showed them, and you know, we're very glad you did. And then fast forward a couple of years, then Carmen, and a softly spoken, bearded South African bloke called Rowan calls you up from a company called Naked Wines. What did you think? Was this some sort of elaborate ploy or joke?
You know, I've got 2 girls. I got divorced in 2009, and my kids got their dad that weekend. So it was a Friday night, and I think I'm a young mother. The girls are young, and you're forever watching your phone. You know, the kids, and my phone rang. I never looked at the number. I just picked it up, thinking it was them. And this was this person, this really, really English accent on the other side. And he said, are you Carmen Stevens? And I was like, yes. And he was like, how would you like to have your own wine label one? I was like, I looked at my phone and I looked at the time, and I promise you, I said, don't you have something better to do? Friday night, it's 8 o'clock. where did you get my number? And he was telling me things, and I was like, who are you? And later in the conversation, I remember he said, did you write down what I said? And I said, no, I didn't know you. And he asked, where did you get my number? And he told me, and I still said, well, when he finished talking, I still said, well, please tell him that I said thank you for the prank, and the English accent is a nice cherry on cake. And he said, can I have your email address? And I said, okay, why don't you just ask him for that as well? And gave it to him, thought nothing of it, went to work the Monday, checked my emails, and opened the email, and hi Carmen, I found this is what you said, and gave me all the links to who Naked was, what his background was, and I was like, oh my God, I just blew my own chance.
You thought it was a prank call, Carmen. You thought it was when
Yes.
you were setting you up.
Yeah. I really, really thought it was a prank call. I've never heard of Naked before then. And I just thought, no, the person that gave him my number, he loves playing pranks on people. So, didn't think much of, And then I had to call him, and I was like, oh my God, how do you recover from that? Because I was actually quite rude. I was like, go play someone else. And I was about to call. I was like, what do I say? What do I say? My phone rang, and it was him. And he said, hi, Carmen, it's again Rowan. And I spoke to you. And I said, I'm so sorry. I really thought it was a prank. And yeah, that's how it started.
You're definitely one of the most determined people I've ever met, Carmen, but I think you met your match in Rowan, who's also extremely determined and perseverant. And then fast forward then to the magical day when all those angels got behind your first case. How did that feel that day?
Oh my God, I was in constant contact with Rowan, and he said, Carmen, we're going to do like futures with you. And I was like, what does that even mean? And he explained it. And I said, why would people buy wine that they've never tasted? They don't even know me. The wine is not even made. Why would anybody buy any kind of wine like that online? And he said, no, all I need from you is to be online. We're going to give you a site. You're going to interact with the customer. And I remember the night before, I still called him and I said, oh, I just want to understand. If you open this thing tomorrow, how much wine must I sell? And he said, let's see if you can do a pallet. I said, a pallet? In how many days? He said, I said, that's not going to happen. I've been in the industry for so long. You don't just sell a pallet of wine in a week. It's not going to work. And he said, just trust me, because he has that very gentle, slow way of talking. Listen. He said, Carmen, don't worry. We'll take it one day at a time, and we'll see how far we get. I was like, oh my God, this is never going to be a success. So the next morning, I went onto the website around about 8 o'clock, and there was 2 cases of wine sold. I was like, oh my God, where's a pallet? Where's a pallet of wine? See what's going to happen? And then by 12 o'clock, I was like, oh my God. In my life, I never knew that anybody can sell wine like that. That volume, that quick. For people that's never met me, tasted the wines I make, just to believe that the product they're going to get is going to be amazing. That was mind-blowing. It was like, I found everybody. You must come and have a look on this thing. This is crazy. Come see what these people are doing. And yes, by 10 o'clock that night, it was, I got flowers from people that I never even knew. Everybody was so impressed with what happened that day. It was just so overwhelming. So I don't think anybody ever that I told beforehand we're going to do this ever thought it's going to work, and it did. It was such a huge success. It is. I actually have it printed out and large in my bedroom of all places. So yeah. That was a absolutely amazing day.
Wow, that was awesome. Why don't we pause there and hop over to Ray to see what he's been drinking this week. Got so much to catch up on, Carmen. If anyone's got any questions, please use the Q&A functionality down below, or if you're watching on Facebook, we'll get that pulled over as well. So ask away. And now we'll hop over to Ray to see what he's been enjoying on our behalf this week.
Okie dokie. I've gone to phone rather than laptop today because Zoom had a bit of a hissy fit. But just to reintroduce myself, my role with Naked is to taste wines from people like Carmen and to find new winemakers who are still out there to be discovered. And then, given this lockdown situation, the samples are coming to my house instead of to the office, which, of course, it has its upsides, but one must remain diligent and just focused because there's so many angels that want wines from Carmen or Johan or whomever. And so that's the role, is to get through and taste through all the wines and approve them for quality first and style to make sure they're approachable. So a bit of a challenge with the sun. So let me see this week. South Africa. Lots of South African wines, but this was Johan Kruger's Chardonnay. It's been in barrel for not so long, a month or two or so. So he's going to bottle it shortly. So Johan was he one of the first we had on, Eamon? But he was, and he's, so anyway, those who know Johan will know his Chardonnay. Anyway, delicious, voluptuous. Also his elements. So what you see here is a tank sample. So it has no label. So I just approve it and make sure it's in the right style. Stephen Millier, Zinfandel. This is blinking delicious, actually. It's a big, ripe, but smooth style of wine. And that should be here. So it's from the USA. It should be with you guys. Let me see, we're 1st of June or so. So 1st of August, thereabouts, you'd have that wine. Beautiful, maybe for barbecues. And then Carmen Stevens. Lots of Carmen Stevens wines actually rocked up today. Yeah, no, that's a big part of it. Yeah, sorry.
I heard it was delivered to you this morning, and I thought, okay, spot on for the day. So what did you receive?
So, well, actually, I was retasting the Merlot, which you're sending up, which we chatted about last week. And then I received everything. You sent Katoria, and maybe you tell, just before I hand back to Eamon, you tell those who are watching where the name Katoria came from, because I think that's special. But so you have your Coastal Blend, Shiraz, Pinotage, and the Sauvignon Blanc. So they arrived today, and I particularly liked the Shiraz, but that's like choosing one of your favorite 4 children, which is allowed. Everyone has a favorite. So, that's about it. But that was delicious. So, Carmen, can you tell us, just before we hand back to Eamon, where did the name Katoria come from?
Okay, so when Rowan said you want your own label, you can have it and you can decide on the name. I always thought that Carmen will be, obviously, because he said you can have your own name on the label. That's enticing for anybody. So, but when we looked into it, we found that obviously Carmen is quite a big Chilean brand, so we couldn't use it. So I was really upset about that. But then I thought, okay, wait. I have 2 girls, Caitlin and Victoria, and I've always played, as a mother, you play with the names, and I came up with Katoria, and I thought, when I first Googled the word Katoria, it came up as a moth, and I was like, oh God, possibly not the best name for wine, But I thought, about the transformation of it, and it's actually perfect, and how it develops into something else. And Ray, I actually pitched that to you. I said to you,
Yeah.
well, how do you feel about Katoria? And you said, okay, maybe not so bad.
Did I
Let's
say
go.
maybe not? I think I thought it sounded regal. I thought it sounded. Yeah. Sorry, but what was my grounds for rejection? Because I actually really loved the name.
But listen, I said to you, Carmen is taken. I said to you, but my real name is actually Carmelita. And you said, no, you never call a wine that. That means little Carmen. And I was like, I think that's quite fitting. But let's. So yeah, we then got to Pretoria, and I'm actually very happy. My girls are super proud to have, the wines named after them, and it still has my name on the bottle on top. So it's, we all three of us we win.
And I think I call you Carmen every time I see you. I didn't know if you like that, but I was calling you Carmen.
Outside of wine,
funny, right?
outside of wine,
call me Carmelita. Sorry. When people call me Carmelita, I know it comes from my school years. When people call me Carmen, I know it comes from my college years.
Yeah, lovely.
I was just going to say, outside of wine, Ray's biggest passion is moth collecting. So he was just obviously put out by the association.
Yeah, it's true.
Carmen, have you got the Katoria Sauvignon Blanc as well in your glass?
Yes, indeed, I do.
And if anyone else has it, snap. And tell us a bit about this wine and why it's worth paying a little bit more than maybe a regular Sauvignon Blanc. Why it's so special.
This vineyard block for me every year delivers. It is close to the sea. The origin of the block is in Durbanville, which is the much cooler region of South African wine growing regions. And every year, we pick it quite ripe. It's close to the sea, so we can get high sugars and still have this amazing acidities and just fruit that just jumps out of the glass. I think the location, the terroir, the canopy management, it goes so well. What we do in the vineyard just brings out everything that specific piece of land wants us to express. And if you smell this wine, I mean, it has a spectrum from your more jalapeno, greener expression, and then underneath it has the passion fruit. It has nice minerality, it has nice citrus flavors. And then on the palate, it's almost like it just sinks into your palate, because the depth of this wine for me year on year is just so amazing. And that depth makes it, this wine, when you taste it, it just doesn't disappear. It actually lasts. It lasts on your palate. And what's also amazing is that South African Sauvignon Blancs normally don't last that long. For some reason, this block, and I contribute that to where it's grown. After a year to a year and 6 months, it has this beautiful bouquet of, you get like fried jalapenos, you get figs, you get peas, it changes constantly, and yet it brings everything together in the glass. So I am every year super proud of the Sauvignon Blanc. I think I'm really lucky to be able to buy those grapes firstly, because not everybody, I'm the only single buyer in the block. The others all goes to the big guys, because, the backup where they can buy a lot of it. The angels make it possible for me to buy those grapes, because I can tell the grower, if you do what I ask you to do, we'll pay for the right amount for this grapes. Where previously I never had that privilege to do that. So cheers to
Carmen,
the angels. Thank you for that.
you go in there with
Absolutely.
cash in advance. I mean, is that the way it works to secure, and the cash coming from people's monthly deposit, and which we pass on to you? How much influence does that have for you?
Initially, when I started with that block, we worked like that. I had to go in with cash up front. So they knew that I was serious about buying some of the fruit. But we've been working with them for quite some years now, so the relationship has been building on nicely. And it's a grower that listens to what I have to say, which is fantastic. So yes, we do pay a premium for the scrapes. I'm always shocked when I'm like, that's a lot of money for selling your plant. But I know it delivers year on year. I know it's one of the better blocks in South Africa. I know it every year does really well. I know there's a queue of people wanting to take my spot if they can on their grapes.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect example of, in South Africa, when working with the right winemaker, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc it's great, but sometimes it's a bit intense and you might want to change. And the really good French stuff tends to be quite expensive. So just for these sort of wines, South Africa just totally over delivers for me. So Carmen, tell us then about the kids. We gotta hear about them. How did it all come about? And I believe you were working with them a few years before, the Angels got involved as well.
Yes, like I said earlier, I grew up in that community, so I started a soup kitchen years ago in that community, partly because I knew there was a need, but also I wanted my kids to understand where I came from and how privileged they were. So I started the soup kitchen. And at that point, we could only feed, depending on how much money I had left at the end of the month, we fed between 300 or 500 kids, but we could only afford a cup of soup 3 times a week. And the kids were just so grateful. And I remember going there because now I want to teach my kids how privileged they are. And so once a month, on a Saturday, we would do a soup kitchen as well. And I would take my kids, and this specific Saturday, we're standing on an open field and just started handing out the soup with the kids and the old people. And suddenly all the wrong elements that you could find just came and demanded the food. And that was quite an eye-opener. I knew about things like that. It just never happened to me before. So we gave them the soup, and when we left, and my kids were highly upset, and I was upset, and everybody that helped us was upset. And I went home and I thought, oh my word, what now? And the lady that helped me said to me, Carmen, we need to stop. This is putting your lives, our lives, and everybody else's lives in danger. And it really, really upset me. And then I just thought, wait, I can do the same thing, but I can do it at the schools. It doesn't have to be, from somebody's house. If I do it on school ground, there's security, there's safety. The kids will definitely get it. There'll be no hiccups. And that's how I started feeding at the schools. And then we did that for a few years. But I must be very honest, really, for me to budget and to make sure that I had enough money, to make sure that I had something left to be able to run the soup kitchen was really, I had to really budget well to do that. And then I was sitting one year next to you, I went on the bus, and you told me about your Free Fruit Friday. Yeah. And that you then give the money to charity. And I still remember you asking me, Carmen, do you know of any charities? Is there any charities in South Africa? Do you know? And I was like, oh, what a question. Yes, there's a lot, but please let me tell you about my soup kitchen. I really need some help here. And okay, I told you, okay, we'll give you the money, and you gave us 6,000 rand. I'm not sure how much that is in pounds today, but with that money, we could feed for another 2.5 or 3 months. But, and I just took the pictures and I thought, just the right thing to do, take pictures. And because we were at the schools, I could ask the kids to just do me a few notes, and I sent it over to you. And I was quite surprised when you were like, did you do all of this only with that money? I was like, that's a lot of money in South African terms. And then from there, you suggested maybe we must take it to the angels. Maybe we must see if they don't want to maybe assist. And I mean, every year, the first year, I must tell you, the first year I thought, okay, if we raise between 30 and 50,000 rand, then I can give, at that point we were only in 3 schools. I could give each school a percentage of the money, and they must just give me the receipts to show that they actually used the money for what it was intended. And then we raised 1.2 million rand. I was like, oh my God. I remember calling, everybody was, because the other thing was, it was in pounds. I still had to calculate it back to rand. And even I would call this, I was like, please come help me, because I think there's something wrong on the screen. And she was like, no, Carmen, that they say that is pounds, so you need to put it into the converter. And I was like, oh my God, in a million years. Again, it's like when with the marketplace with my wives, I just did not see that one coming. And I mean, we've been going from strength to strength. The first year we fed 3,060 kids. Up to end of May, we fed for the 2019-20 school year, we fed 10,310 kids a breakfast and a lunch, not a cup of soup, a breakfast and a lunch. And we have after school programs for kids. We have study programs for matriculants. It's just been absolutely amazing. And I'm going through the COVID crisis, schools being closed now, and the need is so in your face now. It is what the angels are enabling me to do. It is, I mean, every time I speak to somebody, they're like, oh my word, does people still have that kind of heart? Yes. People in the UK, they are amazing. These are not just angels for the company, for wine, but they just, in so many ways, they're so compassionate, they're so giving, they're so caring. And this for kids that they will probably never, ever meet in their lives. It's that says a lot. And I'm really, really grateful, especially now our kids are at home. A lot of the lower income and mid-income parents that did work lost their jobs because of COVID. There's a lot of people that's going hungry in South Africa. There's a lot of kids that's suffering at the moment. So we have put so many things in place to alleviate that need. And I would not be able to do that if it wasn't for these donations from the angels. So I must tell you, I know it's a lot, but the first week of when our president announced the lockdown, he announced on a Sunday night, the Tuesday night, I phoned our service provider and I said, okay, what are we doing for the kids? The schools are closing tomorrow. What are we doing for the kids? And they just said, Carmen, our hands are tied. We're not going to do anything. We need people to receive that food at the schools, and we need people to cook that food. And I said, you need to do something. they are too vulnerable. This is going to hit them even worse. You need to do. And they just said, sorry, we were told we can't do anything. And within a few hours, I've lined up another company that has been trying to work with us for so long. That was the Thursday. By that night, I knew we have ordered 6,500 packets of instant cereal, high energy for these kids that I would deliver to different schools in different communities. We did that. So then Monday, we started delivering that food. The impact was just amazing. The kids were already hungry. They were standing. Luckily, some of the schools could get the word out that they will be serving or handing out cereal. So the queues were there. The kids were waiting for the food. We did that, and then the cereal was supposed to last one child for 20 days, and then the lockdown was extended. And I said, we need to make another plan. We need to feed. We're now sitting with parents that's hungry. We need to do something else. And I then contacted the service provider that said Heinz at the time. I said, are you doing anything now? He said, well, we can do hampers. So we did a hamper for the people, and we did, I think, 3,600 hampers, again, handing out in the community. And then, so I'm trying to time everything, because the funds that we use to pay for this projects is funds that is not used because the schools are closed. So I need to look at what we have, when we can spend money again and make it happen. And so last week, Friday and Saturday, we packed again hampers, but this time I said to the trustees, the people that helped me make all this, I said, guys, we need to put together something that people can actually use, because the previous hamper was okay, but when I looked at it, I thought, what can I do with it? If somebody gave me this, what will I do with this? So we sat down and we worked out a menu. What can we do with the money we have to give them the most in this packet? And we packed 1,000 hampers between over Friday and Saturday. We handed most of them out already. The impact, the gratefulness, it's actually sad when you hand somebody a packet, they start to cry, because the words, I didn't know where I was going to feed my kids for the next week. Also, we said that the hamper must be able to sustain a family of 4 to 5 up to 2 weeks. It doesn't help if we just give for now. We need to be able to give that they can actually keep it for a few days and be able to feed the families. And I promise you, the response is the thankfulness, not just from the parents, from the kids, from the in South Africa, a lot of grannies are actually raising the kids. It makes you sad, but it also makes you very thankful that you have, and thankful that you have people that trust you enough to give you that money to be able to feed a nation, basically. Yeah. It's been a lot of pictures. I actually had a video made because it was so huge. I didn't even think it was that huge. When we packed out the food, I was like, I thought we will be able to pack it in like 5 hours. We started 8 o'clock on Friday morning, 7 o'clock at night, we were still not done. Came back the next day and I was like, oh, there's still just so much food here. Did we not over-order? And when we had everything going in packets, 1,000 packets, beautiful hamper will last somebody for 2 weeks. I mean,
that's
so
incredible,
thank you,
Carmen.
angels. Thank you.
No, and I think I talk on behalf of all the angels. Say we thank you, and we're so grateful for you for doing this work. And it feels like a small sacrifice on our part to hand over some donations and get the money to you. And seeing the photos you're sending over the past week of these hampers being built in your winery, surrounded by oak barrels and tanks and stuff, and hearing some of the the voice messages of little boys so grateful and emotional with his food, it just really hammers it home. And just thank you for everything you're doing, and I know that all the angels on board will echo that.
Thank you for putting me in that position to be able to do it.
No.
Just amazing.
And all from I often wonder if you hadn't sat down at the bus that day, I'm sure it would have happened either way, but not worth even thinking about. And then just another thing around the bursary that we're doing, and we launched as part of our 10-year birthday. How's Liam doing? And so this is the young student from Stellenbosch University who you're helping and mentoring go through and potentially becoming a winemaker.
So funny. Yeah, I got a WhatsApp message from him today to say that he'll be back at the university, because they were obviously also in lockdown. He'll be back next week. They're starting to write the exams. He has done his practical at the winery, his vineyard practical at the winery in Cape Town. He's very excited, looking forward to the future. So, but Liam is a very dedicated, very, he knows what he wants. And I think that makes a huge difference. He works for it, he puts in the time, the effort, he appreciates that he is funded and that he needs to show that he is worthy of funding. So I'm very pleased to be working with him, on to have him part of the bursary scheme. Makes me look good as well. It's really works out.
Eamon, we met him when we were there, was it last year? We took with him, and he's a very good taster and he's a very good palate. And so in terms of what might come down the line for Naked and the Angels, Liam is he really, well, you just said it, Carmen, in terms of his diligence and attention to detail. He has a lot of promise. So look forward to seeing his wines.
Absolutely. Couple of questions then from the crowd. A lot of people asking about the what's happening with the kids at the moment. So thanks for the update on that. We had last week on the call Danny Stakler. I don't know if you know Danny, but there was a lot of bribe rookie chat, Carmen. So one person's asking, what is your favorite flavor or combination of bribe rookie, which is this barbecued sandwich, I guess you call it if you weren't on the call last week.
Yes. I do like a lot of onions on mine, and my kids have fine-tuned it now. They because you can have a variation of it. So my kids they actually do garlic in the oven first, and they use that as the butter. Garlic. It's really, really good when you first roast in the oven, and they squeeze it out, and it's quite a thick layer, and onions, cheese, tomatoes. It's basically anything that you want on the bribe rookie, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of sandwich. I'm all over that. And Carmen, tell us anything new, exciting in your plans with Naked, wine-wise?
This year, I have made a Petit Shiraz, also known as Durif. It's big, it's huge, it's black, it's big tannins. It has everything going for it. It's really, it's going to be a big, big wine. It has an extract that is shocking, that just gives it so much more depth on palate. So it's going to be, I'm very excited. I think it's a fantastic challenge. And also it's very new in South Africa. So I would like to see, I think for something that is so failing in South Africa. This grape just over delivers because of our climate. And I think that the Angels has something quite big to look forward to in that wine. It does take a lot of meat, though, I think, or maybe lots of fried pumpkin, I don't know. But it's a huge wine. It's a beautiful, voluptuous, huge wine.
Wow. I think there'll be a few takers for that, Carmen.
Right? Like, oh my God.
And if you ever get a chance to wind down and you're not, you know, it's a global pandemic, so you'd be excused for, you know, kind of hunkering down and like not doing all these amazing things for the community. But we're so glad you do them. What's your favorite wine in your range that you would open up at the end of the day to unwind?
It's like asking, I always say to Ray, this is like asking me which of my two kids I like the most. And unlike Ray that said earlier, you have a favorite, you're not supposed to have a favorite.
Come on.
So I would probably say it would be the coastal blend. I think because it's such an intriguing, there's so many different varieties, there's so many things going for it. So if I go into a shop to buy a bottle of wine, it's normally a Bordeaux blend. So I like that varietal mix together. So that's my first choice. And then my second choice is Shiraz. I think it's one of the most forgiving grape varietals that you can work with. It just, you know, it doesn't matter how you treat it, where you plant it, how you process it. It always tells you, I'm here. I love being here. It's just such an expressive wine in so many ways. Doesn't matter where you plant it. It's just, you know what you drink. Shiraz. I love that about Shiraz. So those two, and then probably first my Sauvignon Blanc before the Pinotage.
So all of them basically, but no, I'm with you on the coastal blend. I love that wine.
Same here.
Well, I cannot believe an hour has gone and we're out of time. Carmen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Ray, and thank you to all the angels who signed in tonight to watch us and hear your story, Carmen. All I can do is repeat what I said earlier. Thank you so much for everything you're doing down there, you know, for the kids and the community. And thank you for just continuing to make us some absolutely beautiful, stunning wines as well. And we are all so grateful to know you and work with you. And yeah, just long may that continue. And yeah, just very grateful and happy to be working with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Carmelita.
I need to go get some water.
And Carmen. On that note, thanks everyone. See you, Ray. See you, everyone.
Hey, see you, Carmen.